Tim, what day is it?
It's Wednesday.
What day is it?
It's Wednesday. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to do the hump day joke now. I'm not doing it. Sorry.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for that, Tim. I'm Bobby Broyles, along with Tim McDonald. Today we hit the halfway point of not just the work week, but also with our 12 teams in 12 days series with the Delaware Blue Hens. Tim, this team had such a disappointing end to 2013, losing on last-second plays versus Richmond and Villanova that ultimately cost the Hens a shot at postseason play.
I look at this team coming into 2014, and I look at a team who knew what was at stake halfway through the season. They go through 2013, 4-2, okay, sitting, all right, Coach Brock's first year, end up beating Towson. They're sitting there at 7-2 in the last 3 games of the season. All you have to do, you'd think all they'd have to do is win at least one of those games. All of a sudden, they lose a tough game at home to William & Mary, lose absolute heartbreakers with 4 seconds left to Richmond, then they lose essentially on a last-second field goal to Villanova, and Delaware misses the playoffs. I think this is a team where you talk with Patrick Calloway and you talk with Coach Brock at Media Day, they knew what was at stake. It's not like they were overconfident. I didn't think they purposely tried to blow games or anything like that. I think it's just tough for them to realize now that it's a new season, and I think they did that quickly. Offensively, I think that's going to be the key for Delaware this year. People forget, Coach Brock's first year, it's a new offensive system. Trent Hurley is essentially going to be a 3-year starting quarterback. He's gotten more familiar. I think Michael Johnson is one of the best receivers in the nation. The fact that he wasn't a CAA Football first-team preseason performer, to me, that raises some questions. But, I think he's ultimately one of the most dangerous returners as well. He averaged over 20 yards per kick. I think he's going to be key. They also return a lot of talent offensively, a lot of offensive linemen. Nick Boyle, a tight end who had 7 touchdowns last year. The biggest thing for this Delaware team, I think, mentally, can they get over how they ended that season, sitting at 7-2 and missing the playoffs?
Well, here is what Delaware head coach Dave Brock had to say about his senior quarterback, Trent Hurley.
Well, I think anybody would tell you if you're a head coach in college football, you want an experienced, talented quarterback. And for us, that's what we have. We have a guy who's going to be a third-year starter, Trent Hurley, had a terrific year for us last year and really turned around our offense from one year to the next with his play. And with him being back, we're really, really excited about what we're going to do. He actually practiced in the spring. He hadn't done that the year before. Just had a dominant spring practice, and has total command of what we want to do offensively. And I think will really, really help us, put ourselves in situations where we can have great success offensively. And that, for a coach, that's what you want. I mean, the times when you have a really good quarterback and an experienced quarterback, that makes you feel pretty good.
Exciting times for the Blue Hens offense, but defensively, Tim, this team really struggled at times as they gave up 30 or more points 7 times last season. I think
at the early part of the season, like I mentioned earlier in the first segment, Bob, when you give up a lot of points to Jacksonville, then you lose to Navy, and it's just a lot of inconsistencies. And I know we say that a lot in these preseason videos, but with Delaware, it really was, a head-scratcher. They'd beat some good teams, and they'd play well, and but then they'd go up to Maine, and they'd lose by, almost 40 points, if not more. I think the biggest question for Delaware last year was just inconsistency on defense. 9th in scoring defense, 31.6 per game. 9th in rushing defense, 10th in passing defense. That says it all. If you can't have consistency, at least in passing or at least in rushing defense, something's got to give. But again, you look at this roster heading into 2014, there's still some people who are upperclassmen and some guys who you say, okay, maybe if we put them in a tough spot, like guys like Patrick Calloway, maybe they'll respond even better. You look at Derek Salisbury, who's a very good defensive end. There's just a couple of guys, David Mackel, Mario Ronson, who's, these are all senior guys. There's 6 or 7 seniors on that defense who I think Coach Brock is going to say from the get-go, we weren't that great last year defensively. I'm looking for you guys to step up.
Well, once again, Coach Brock on the expectations for the defense in 2014.
Well, I think if you're looking at one area that we can make a stride in a program, I think improvement on defense is certainly where it is. We had a very inexperienced group of players last year. We had a lot of guys who hadn't practiced, who had been injured and hadn't really done anything until the season. I'm excited about where we are. I think they had a good spring. I think they've had a great summer. We've got a number of players coming back who didn't play last year at all that have been in the program now for 18 months and understand what it's going to take. And, that's certainly the area where we have to show the most improvement from a competitive standpoint, and that'll give us the best chance to advance the program.
We'll be on the lookout for an improved Blue Hen defense in 2014. Delaware's schedule at the end of October features 2 Comcast Sportsnet games when the Hens host Towson, and that was an exciting one last year, and then travel to William & Mary. Again, Tim, 2 critical late games for this team heading into the final month of the regular season.
This Delaware team, like many schools in CAA football, they're starting off the bat with a lot of non-conference games. Really, they get their first taste of conference play versus JMU, like you said. I think a lot of times when you look at conference play and versus non-conference play, you say, how are you going to test yourself? And last year, I think we looked at Delaware, and at times we said they looked really good in non-conference play, and at times we said maybe they gave up a lot of points. I think the key for Delaware, like you said, are going to be these games. You know, they can't always have a game like that versus Towson last year where really they rely until the fourth quarter to make a comeback, and that's the craziest game that I've ever witnessed in firsthand. And you look at the next week, first William & Mary, they come to Delaware, and they just didn't. They're going to get redemption, I think, this year. A lot of times when you have those types of games, and like we always mention, when Delaware ended the season that way that they did last year, I think it's going to be really something circles on their calendar. Just the rest of the non-conference schedule, you look, they have a game at Pitt versus Delaware State, which is a rivalry game, although it hasn't been that close of a rivalry game as of late. Versus Colgate and versus Sacred Heart. Out of conference-wise, I think they did a decent job. Sacred Heart, they're a playoff team last year. I think Delaware, like you said, that month of October is just, it's going to be telling.
Well, Delaware opens its 2014 campaign with a trip to the Steel City versus ACC opponent Pitt at Heinz Field on Saturday, August the 30th. Kickoff time is set for 12 noon and can be seen on ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app.
And also, Bob, you can get caught up with a pair of Blue Hens that we got to know at Media Day. You can check out their interviews now on CAA Football's Everyday is Saturday blog.
We are down to 5 teams remaining in CAA Football's 12 Teams in 12 Days series. Next up to the plate is 2013 national runner-up Towson tomorrow here on CAA.TV. For Tim McDonald, I'm Bobby Broyles. Have a great rest of your day.